Hello, my name is Nathan Cook and welcome to Miami Milers Club. This is going to be our first recorded workout, one of many, I hope. So I've just recorded a warm-up and cool-down video. So if you're watching this, this is the subsequent video talking about the workout portion of a session. So first of all, I'll just quickly explain what Miami Milers Club is. So my name's Nathan. I'm a level 2 Australian athletics recreational run coach. I really enjoy running, been running for a few years now, and I'd like to share that knowledge and wisdom, hopefully, over time until I'm old and grey. So Miami Milers Club is the name of my running coaching brand and is what I use to deliver my running coaching activities. So I've got some one-to-one coaching that I like to provide in person and online, and then also one day I hope to have a training group here on the Gold Coast. So the greater purpose of MMC, Miami Milers Club, is to make running fun and cool. My coaching philosophy is to provide you with a trusted experience that is ultimately going to make you a better runner on the track and better person off the track. I aim to demonstrate this through leadership and kindness that reflects an exciting running environment to improve oneself. So I'm going to hopefully post these workouts over the coming weeks and years to support you in your running journey if you're my athletes or even if you're not. So if this sounds like something that you'd be interested in moving on to in the future and need a running coach, please contact me via my website. I'm currently taking on athletes. So as I said at the start, I've just recorded a warm-up and warm-down video. So that's our ramp protocol and our calm protocol to support you in your workouts. The other component of running and improving in running outside of easy runs and long runs is those hard sessions in between. I really enjoy writing workouts, so actually writing them down, researching workouts, listening to others and observing what they've done as well, watching some YouTube videos on what other high-level athletes are doing as well. I might give them a go myself, I might alter them or change them around, and so I thought I would do the same thing. So these videos will appear on Strava, YouTube and Instagram to support you in trying out a running workout or session is what they're typically called as well. So I really encourage my athletes to view these videos and to use these as part of their sessions when these particular sessions are prescribed and programmed, and then to get them to understand what to do moving forward. But even if you're not and you'd like to give these a go, that's okay too. Let me know how you go if you have them, if you give a go. I'm going to name them too, going to be a bit tricky, a bit sexy with running in terms of when we think about CrossFit, it's really cool that they get to name their workouts and then you can present those and benchmark, improve over time and also compare your scores with others. And so I thought I'd apply that to the running context with workouts and sessions. So this is the first one that I've written here. And I didn't come up with this workout, so don't worry, I'll let you know if I ever do. I might even name it after myself. But I've called this one Australia. It's the first interval workout that is typically prescribed to athletes I look after. And this is a very typical workout for most Australian running groups. And it's just repeated kilometre repetitions or 1K reps or K reps. And it's a great way to improve fitness and very commonly used by a strong team in the Australian running scene, the Melbourne Track Club, who do this very often and quite regularly throughout their year-long seasons, to be honest. So all these videos will be styled this way where I present the workout at the beginning, I have my intro, we'll talk about the warm-up, the session, and then the cool-down moving forward. So this is the workout today, so it's called Australia. It's a warm-up following the ramp protocol, then you have 8x1K with 60 seconds recovery, and then you have a cool-down and evaluation. So that 60 seconds recovery is standing recovery as well. So I've just filmed another separate video discussing the ramp protocol, which supports an appropriate warm-up for you to then do this session. And so you do that before any session, but particularly you want to do this for this one as well, and this to ensure that your body is prepared for the hard work ahead. We want to raise the heart rate, so with a 10 to 15 minute jog, depending on your level of ability. You want to activate the right muscle groups through activation exercises, so squats, lunges, maybe some glute bridges. Work on activating those joints and the nervous system as well. This will also raise the heart rate, increase blood flow to the right muscles. Then we've got the mobilization component. So we've got some drills there. So you might do some leg swings, some high knees, some butt kicks, A and B skips, tiptoe walks, things like that, to make sure that you're mobilizing those leg muscles in the way that they're about to be used within the running session. And then the last part is potentiate, which is doing some fast running before the workout begins. So these are typically called strides as well. So 15 seconds or maybe 40 to 50 meters depending on your ability, and increasing the speed of those those strides. And so you do your 15-second run, then you might walk back to the start, do it again, and you're really moving through the gears or the motions to get ready for that workout, increasing the potential speed that you'll be running that workout at. So after a couple of minutes rest, after you've done that ramp protocol, you run through that, maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes it might take you to do that. So you psych yourself up and you're ready to go for the session. So this particular workout, and for all workouts, I've got my notes here in front of me, there will always be 3 levels. So we've got level 1, 4 times 1K with 60 seconds recovery, level 2, 6 times 1K, level 3, 8 times 1K, which is the prescribed workout today. You may not be at level 3 depending on your ability, but if you are, obviously judge that by yourself. If you're not being coached by me, if you have been coached by me, you definitely know the amount of workout that you're going to be doing on the day's session. Now this can also go to level 4, and so I would assume, I've not done a level 4 workout with this before, maybe once, where you might do some more reps, so more than 8 reps, you might have less rest in between, you alternate on some of the speeds that you might do that rep, so the 4th and the 6th rep might be faster than the overall average of the other reps. And this really depends on your ability. You may also need more rest, and that's okay. So 75 to 90 seconds to ensure that you're ready to get the quality out of these kilometre repetitions. As well as another important component of how you might deliver that is you'll set a timer clock. So you might set a 5 minutes 30 clock, and if you finish the repetition in 4 minutes 10, you've then got 80 seconds to rest compared to the original 60 seconds. So that's another style to approach this workout based on your recovery needs. But if you're doing the standard workout, 8 times 1K with 60 seconds recovery. Now in the bottom left hand corner, there'll always be just 3 points here to explain the expectations of this workout that you're going to endure. So first of all, here is quality, and it's going to be hard. So we know that our sessions are supposed to be hard, designed specifically to work those harder heart rates as well as the higher speeds in terms of your intensity of your running. So this is a quality workout session. It's used very, very often with those high-level groups and even recreational runners as well. So it's meant to be hard, so don't worry about that, and it will be hard. And so just remember that when you're in it, it's going to be hard. It'll be over soon. If it feels like it's hard, you're probably in the right spot. There's a gauge of too hard and not hard enough, and we'll look at that later on in today's video. Now the second part is the pace. So faster than threshold. So the optimal pace to get the benefit from this workout is that faster than threshold space. Now I'll explain threshold in another video, which is based on heart rate, but basically you want to run these hard with a strong effort and at a pace that you can maintain for each rep. So you don't want to go out too hard at the start that you can't maintain it, or too slow that you're not getting the right stimulus as well. So we'll look at how to gauge that in a moment. So for me, like my threshold has been calculated in a lab at around 402. And so I might run these at around 350, 351, 355, and faster and slower depending on the day, the conditions, how I'm feeling, my fatigue levels, and if I come off a down week, maybe I'm a bit faster. But you don't want to feel like you're sprinting either, that's for sure. You want to make sure that you have a strong running form and you can hold that throughout the workout, and we'll come on to that as the tips in the next component. Now the last point here is fatigue build-up. So rep 1 will fly by. You feel great. How good's this? I've got 8 of these. This is going to be a great workout. Reps 3 to 5, you in that range, 3, 4, 5, you'll find your comfortable spot and think you can just run this all day. You can probably do 12, 15 of these repetitions. Now this is very similar to a type of 400 workout as well. Then you run into reps 6, 7, and 8, and the fatigue is starting to set in, start to build up. You may feel like you can't get your breath back as much as you usually would in some of the other minute recoveries, or your legs may start to feel heavy, and the rest is going quite quickly, and you're feeling like I can't complete that. You want that feeling to be at that later end of the workout, so the build-up is occurring of that fatigue. So it will occur, and make sure you're ready for it. But as we said in the first point, this is a quality workout. It's supposed to be hard. And so if you're feeling that at that period of time, you're in the right spot. I'm going to focus now on some tips for this particular workout. And this goes for all 3 of these levels, even level 4s and beyond. So you might be doing this on a track or a road. So I recommend practicing both, particularly if you're doing fun runs on the road, and you might do some track races a lot rarer, for recreational runners, but sometimes you may be able to do that in the future. So if you are on the track, you'll naturally feel and probably run faster. You can really visualize your effort because you can see where you're going. 2.5 laps, you've done 1 lap, you've got 2, it's only 200 meters left. So you can really visualize how you're going throughout the repetition and gauge your pace via that. You can also alternate each way to really unwind some of those muscle groups that may get more of a work if you were to do all 8 reps in the one way versus the other. So you might do 4 and 4 or 2 and 2 and then 2 and 2, or you might just alternate those reps as well. This is versus the road. We really have to find that 1 kilometer marker. So usually you got to try and find a straight road. You don't want to be doing too many turns, and you have to look down for your watch unless it beeps to know where that 1K marker is going to be. And so then you turn around, have your rest, and go the other way. You can go up and back. Or if you've got a longer road, you could go 2 out, 2 back, things like that. This is a lot different to on the track where you can visualize where you're going to be in terms of laps. You might want to try look at a marker throughout that 1K passage of road to know where you are in the repetition. Now the next point is, if you don't know where to start, just start at your goal 10K pace and improve from there. So especially if you're doing 8 of these, and so look at what you would expect to run for a 10 kilometer race. That kilometer pace is something you can start at. If you don't know your rate of physique exertion or your threshold paces or what pace to go at for this particular workout, just start there and move up, or even move down if you feel like it's too much of a stretch. You really want to be steady and controlled throughout these, so really try to feel like you are in control of your form. Although it is some faster running, it's not all out. It may be 3 minutes all the way up to 6 minutes, right, of running. So, during that time, you don't want to have an exaggerated stride or an over arm swing. You really want to make sure that you're not excessively breathing either. You want to be quite comfortable because it's quite a long time to be out there running. Now, during that rest period, you really need to compose yourself and rest. It does go really fast. By the time you look down after you've crossed the line across the track or the 1K marker on the road, you look down, there may only be 40 seconds left. So it goes quite quickly. And so you might have a little walk around or let the legs flush out and line back up and go again. Usually when I'm doing this in a group or if I'm on the track, I often find just one big breath out, just before you go. It's like lifting the weight off your shoulders, and then you're ready to go and you reset for the next one. Now, depending on your pace, this can also be quite a long workout as well. So, Melbourne Track Club athletes are often doing these in, the very low 3-minute repetitions, so like 310, 305, all the way to under 3 minutes, so 250, 245s in some cases as well. So it's a lot quicker for them to do 8x1K compared to someone like myself who's, in close to 4-minute range, or someone who's doing 5 minutes and above. So really make sure if this is prescribed to you to allow yourself the time to accumulate, to complete the workout, depending on how many repetitions you've got, where you've got to be during the day, and appropriate fueling as well. So we're also going to talk about the purpose of the workouts and the sessions to ensure that everyone's on the same page. So it's quite a complex table here, but I'm going to take you through across each column as well as the overall slide in itself. So the purpose of workouts and sessions is really to improve your running performance. So it trains different energy systems through varied training stimuluses. So this may improve your running economy. It might be focused on your speed, your endurance, your speed reserve. So how much faster can you go? It might be a pacing workout, threshold tolerance, energy use efficiency. So we're trying to impact all these different things with different workouts to get an overall improvement in your running performance. So different workouts will work different energy systems, will have different purposes, and will go for different durations, feel like at different intensities, and also be at different efforts as well. So that will all be prescribed, obviously, in your written notes from me as the coach, or if you're in a group, it may come from the head coach of that group as well. So this table really explains a few different things. So first of all, we've got on the far left hand side, we've got our rate of perceived exertion. So how hard out of 10 you want to be feeling during the workout. I've put the red box around where we're going to be for this particular workout, in that quite at that lower end of the RPE, or the higher end in terms of how you're looking at it. So 8, 9 to 10 towards the end of that workout. So it is a hard workout, and most workouts will either be in that box or the yellow and green box, or they might even translate across all of the boxes depending on the type of workout. So that's important to know when you think about the numbers there. I want to be working at an 8 out of 10 at least in these repetitions. Then we've got the different heart rate zones as well. So that's next to the RPE. So this should correlate with the different heart rate percentages as well. So you've got your percent of your maximum heart rate there that you want to be working at if you have that data available to you, either off a heart rate strap, a heart rate armband, or a watch, depending what you use, as well as the app compatibility that you've got there. And so you can see where you want to be working in with these particular repetitions in this workout. So we've also got the effective work time in that zone. So that's the next column. So you can see there that we wouldn't be working at this particular pace or this RPE for any longer than 30 to 60 minutes. So you can see the more higher intensity or the rate of perceived exertion and the higher heart rate, the less amount of time that you can work at that particular rate for the session. So you can see that there. This would be maximum 60 minutes, minimum 15 for those very fast people who are doing 2-minute reps perhaps one day. But in that range, you can see obviously we're going to be working at something like the lower 15-minute time duration with more something like 400s or sprints as well. Now in the next column, I've got the explanation of the fuel utilization. So as a dietitian by background, I've just included here the predominant fuel that is being utilized during these particular heart rate zones and rate of perceived exertion. So obviously you've got carbohydrates there indicating that we want to make sure we're using some extra fueling before the session and then focusing on that recovery nutrition afterwards. As we're working in that yellow and red zone, we need carbohydrates to support that. Now you note here on the last column is the lactate, or the millimoles of lactate within our blood at this particular time. So this is a bit of a complex, component to running physiology, as well as improving our running performance over time, what energy systems we're working, whether that be our aerobic or anaerobic system. So I'll just quickly explain this. So this really correlates to those LT1 and LT2 labels on the middle of the slide here with the green 50 to 90 minutes either side of that. So what we have here is the LT1, which is the aerobic metabolism, and then LT2, which is the anaerobic metabolism. And these are our lactate thresholds. So lactate threshold 1, lactate threshold 2. And in the middle zone between these is more of our transition mode, or to the majority of the aerobic at the lower end of the LT1, then moving through to higher use of aerobic capacity to then that anaerobic capacity in terms of metabolism that's occurring to produce energy for our work that's required. So what this means is that the LT1, lactic acid production in your muscles, is starting to rise. So it's starting to accumulate and build up within the muscles. But then also lactate is cleared. So we have those 60 seconds. Over that 60 seconds, the lactate gets some time to be cleared and used as a fuel source as well. But it's actually getting it out of the muscles as well. However, through that transition period, the rising of that lactate is continuing. The harder we work, the more repetitions we do, that lactate is starting to build because we're working at this higher pace, right? You can see that the higher the intensity, the higher the lactate is in the blood. And so when we cross over into that LT2 zone, so LT1, we're then in that transition zone, improving our lactate, it's increasing in the body, and then we can't actually start to clear it as much as what we would like to then continue working at that lower pace or that lower intensity. And so the body then can't clear that lactate as quickly as it used to in 5-10 minutes ago. And so the clearing of the lactate is not occurring at the same rate of production because we've only got 60 seconds and we're going to go again. We're not going to wait 75, 92 minutes to let that lactate reduce. We're actually going to go again. And this is where we get this adaptation to stimulus within the body to then, work through those higher levels of lactate and actually buffer that in a more better capacity moving forward. So we can't sustain that pace or that effort that's occurring at that later stages after that lactate continues to rise. And so the effort is too high, and what we want to do is we get to this thing called the red line, or we want to stop. And so what happens is we either stop, we completely, quit the workout, or we can't go any further. And you would have felt this before in particular exercise components if you've done a CrossFit or gym workout, or you've played team sports and you're running after someone to tackle them. We can't actually work any further, so we decide to stop, or our performance starts to take a hit. So if you've ever been running before and you bonk, or you get to an intensity repetition and you're starting to slow down towards the end of that because that lactate is built up so much that we can't continue to work at that particular rate. And so when we go through our calm protocol, or the cooling off or the warm down process, that starts to then flush that lactate out because we've had some bit of rest and we're starting to work at that lower intensity. And then over that, 24 hours, 12 hours overnight, that lactate's gone. Now, so also the important component on this slide, so I've explained all that, obviously because it's the first video today I need to go through in depth, and I'll then reference people back to this video in the future. But what happens now is we've got these key components here on the slide where we've got the aim is to increase our aerobic power and our aerobic performance. We've also got this note down the bottom talking about lactate 2 reps plus recovery equals a sustained ability to hold higher intensities for longer. So I'm just going to explain this component now, and then we'll move on to our cool down and our evaluation slide. So what this workout aims to do is really improve your aerobic performance and your aerobic power by working at those speeds at or over threshold based on your ability for a certain period of time. So this exposes the body to a harder stimulus for a certain period of time, so 4 minutes and above, before resting and then exposing it again to that stimulus. So it's like a set in the gym where you do your 10 bench press as much as you can to failure, and then you have a rest, and then you go again. So the overall outcome of this workout, when we combine sustaining high efforts with recovery, is that translation of this into a race day performance. So theoretically, if you do this workout, not just this workout once, but over periods of time, a 12-week block, theoretically on race day you may have adapted to then be able to sustain an overall higher intensity than previously before for longer periods of time. And that's based on those physiological adaptations that I just talked about in terms of the lactate accumulation and being able to flush that out more efficiently. So in terms of the word aerobic performance, you can actually now more efficiently use oxygen to produce energy, and for aerobic power you have improved your maximum capacity to produce energy overall in terms of an aerobic sense. And so a really good analogy for this, and this is a common term used in the CrossFit world as well, is an engine. So in terms of aerobic performance, you have improved the efficiency of your engine. And then in terms of aerobic power, you've actually improved the size of that engine. So very good analogy there when you think about an engine for a car to drive fast and continue to drive fast over time. Now you'll be feeling a bit smacked up after that workout, no doubt. So this is the cool down protocol. As I said, I've recorded this on a previous video. So this is the calm protocol. So we want to catch our breath. We want to adapt to the stimulus by starting that cool down process to flush those metabolites out and start to feel like we're back to normal. So reduce the heart rate, lower the breathing rate as well. That's another 10 to 15 minute jog depending on your ability. Then you have the learn component. So think about the workout. How did you go? I really encourage people to reflect on what they've done, what went well, what didn't go well, what were you thinking about, were you focused, were you distracted, how does your body physically feel based on previous days of running or other training. And you may want to include these points in maybe a training diary and talk to your coach as well, and that's in that video. But that will always be at the back of a hard session, is this calm process. And the last step here is the mat. So I encourage you to get on the mat at home, do some stretching, do some rolling, get into some recovery components to support your muscles, to make sure that they're ready to go again later in the week or even in the morning or tomorrow after that workout. So this may include some physio work that you've been prescribed, or some prehab work, some strengthening of muscles as well. Maybe you just want 5 minutes on the mat just to cool off and close your eyes and learn and think about what you've done on the track or on the road that morning or that evening, or sometimes in the middle of the day, but not very rare on the Gold Coast. And so other things that may be appropriate for this mat stage is, sauna, ice exposure, a big bowl of carbs as well when we're working at those higher levels of intensity. So I really thank you guys for watching. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. So that's our first workout, interval workout 1, Australia, 8x1K with 60 seconds recovery. If you'd like to be coached by me, please get in contact with me via my website. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can follow me on Instagram at dr.ncook. And then also you can join the Strava club for Miami Milers Club on Strava. So thank you, and see you in workout video number 2.